6 months of discipline over distraction, 6 months of silence over noise. Most people never give themselves that. They try to improve while staying visible. They want transformation without disappearing. They want results while still scrolling, still explaining, still reacting. That's why nothing changes. Real change requires distance. Distance from validation, distance from comparison, distance from the constant need to prove something. Because the truth is simple. If you focus on yourself for 6 months, deeply, intentionally, relentlessly, you will shock everyone. Right now, most people are living externally. They measure their progress by likes, they measure their value by attention, they measure their success by visibility, but growth doesn't happen in public. It happens in silence. It happens when nobody is clapping, when nobody is watching, when nobody believes anything is happening. 6 months is long enough to rebuild your body, long enough to sharpen your mind, long enough to develop a skill that separates you from average. But only if those 6 months are focused, not half focused, not motivated for a week and distracted, not trying when it feels right, focused. If you gave 2 undistracted hours a day to one meaningful goal, that's over 360 hours. That's not motivation, that's momentum, that's identity shift. Most people underestimate what 6 months can do because they have never experienced 6 months for real consistency. They have experienced burst, they have experienced hype, they have experienced temporary discipline, but they have never experienced sustained focus. And that's the difference. While they are talking about what they plan to do, you are building. While they are announcing goals, you are executing. While they are debating, comparing, reacting, you are improving. This is not about becoming obsessed with work, it's about becoming aligned with growth. It's not about isolating yourself from the world, it's about isolating yourself from distraction. There's a difference. You strengthen your body, you upgrade your thinking, you finish what you start, you build something that compounds. And when you do that long enough, something powerful happens. You stop needing validation, you stop explaining yourself, you stop reacting to every comment, every opinion, every comparison because you are too busy for building. Here's most people don't realize the shock doesn't come from sudden success. It comes from visible consistency. People are shocked not because you became lucky, they are shocked because you became disciplined. They are shocked because you disappeared long enough to transform. 6 months from now, if you stay distracted, nothing changes. 6 months from now, if you stay reactive, nothing changes. But 6 months from now, if you commit to focused improvement daily, quietly, deliberately, your standards rise, your body changes, your confidence changes, your skill level changes, your mindset changes. And when your standards rise, your environment begins to shift. You no longer tolerate mediocrity, you no longer tolerate excuses, you no longer tolerate the version of yourself. That's when people start saying you have changed. And they're right, you have. But the real victory isn't shocking them. It's recognizing yourself in the mirror and knowing you built this. Not overnight, not by accident, not because someone saved you, because you chose to focus for 6 months. This is not about motivation, because you don't need more inspiration, you need a plan. 6 months from today, disappear from distraction. If you want to shock everyone in 6 months, the first thing you must do is disappear. Not from your responsibilities, not from your goals, but from distractions. Because distractions is the real enemy of transformation. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, they fail because their attention is constantly divided. Every notification, every message, every trending topic, every comparison, your focus is being auctioned every day. And most people give it away for free. You cannot rebuild yourself constantly consuming everyone else. You cannot sharpen your edge on drowning in noise. You cannot create a new identity while feeding the old one every single hour. Disappearing is not weakness, it is a strategy. When you disappear from distraction, three things begin to happen. First, all your thoughts become clear. Second, your standards become visible. Third, your time becomes yours again. Right now, your attention is fragmented. Fragmented attention produces fragmented results. You work, but you check your phone. You read, but you switch tabs. You plan, but you react to messages. That is not focus. That is a scattered effort, and scattered effort never compounds. 6 months of scattered effort looks like nothing. 6 months of concentrated effort looks like reinvention. The difference is not talent, it is protection. You must protect your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Think about this. If you removed just three distractions from your life, three things that quietly drain your time, how much space would that create? For most people, it's social media overuse. For others, it's constant group chats. For some, it's news cycles, gossip, comparison. None of these things are evil, but all of them are expensive. They cost clarity, they cost momentum. When you decide to focus on yourself for 6 months, you must become selective. Selective about where your energy goes. Here's the uncomfortable truth. There was a period in my life where I believed being available meant being responsible. I answered quickly. I showed up everywhere. I responded everywhere. I feel productive, but I wasn't progressive. My days were full, yet my results were empty. It wasn't until I began turning things off, not forever, just intentionally, that I felt momentum. Silence creates space, space creates depth, depth created improvement, and improvement created confidence. When you disappear from distraction, you stop performing your life and start building it. Performance is external, building is internal. Performance wants visibility, building wants progress. You cannot optimize both at the same time. For the next 6 months, choose building. That means creating focused blocks in your day that are sacred. No phone, no tabs, no interruption. Even 2 hours of undisturbed focus daily can shift your trajectory. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your mind will crave stimulation. You will feel the urge to check something, to see something, to respond to something. That urge is addiction to distraction. And like any addiction, it weakens when you resist it consistently. Discipline is not dramatic, it is quiet refusal, refusal to react, refusal to indulge every impulse, refusal to trade long term growth for short term stimulation. Most people fear disappearing because they think they will be forgotten. 6 months is long enough for physical change, long enough for mental clarity, long enough for skill development, but only if you reduce input. You cannot build a stronger mind while feeding it endless noise. You cannot sharpen your thinking by consuming shallow content for hours. You cannot deepen your skill while constantly interrupting yourself. Every interruption resets momentum, every reset costs time. And over months, those small resets become massive delays. While others are refreshing timelines, you are refining yourself. While they react, you rehearse. While they scroll, you study. This is not about isolation, it's about intention. You don't need to delete the world, you need to schedule the world. In 6 months, nobody will remember how fast you replied to messages, but they will notice you have transformed. They will notice if your body is stronger. They will notice if your confidence is calmer. They will notice if your skill level has quietly doubled. They will wonder when it happened. It happened when you disappeared. It happened when you stopped announcing. It happened when you decided that attention was less valuable than improvement. Distraction feels harmless in the moment, but over time it erodes potential. Focus feels difficult in the moment, but over time, it builds power. You are not lacking ability, you are leaking attention. Close the leaks, guard your hours, protect your mind, disappear from distraction. Not forever, but long enough to rebuild. Because if you truly want to shock everyone in 6 months, the first move is simple: stop being everywhere, start being intentional, and watch what happens when your energy finally has one direction. Chapter 2: Reclaim 180 days. 6 months sounds short when you say it quickly, but 6 months is nearly 180 days, and 180 days used correctly is enough to change your trajectory permanently. The problem is they spend it unconsciously. Then they say, I've been busy. Busy is not the same as productive. Occupied is not the same as progressive. If you want to shock everyone in 6 months, you must reclaim your days, all 180 of them. Right now, your life is shaped by how you use your hours, not your intentions, not your plans. You are hours. 2 focused hours per day for 180 days equals 360 hours. 3 hours per day equals 540 hours. That's the equivalent of months of deep practice, months of deliberate skill building, months of training your body, months of studying, building, refining. Most people don't realize how powerful this is because they have never applied time consistently in one direction. They scattered it. One week they are motivated, next week they are distracted. Then they restart. Momentum dies. Inconsistency, time only compounds when it's protected. Look at your average day honestly. How much of it's intention? How much it is reactive? You wake up and check your phone. You respond before you think. You consume before you create. Your energy is spent before your goals even get attention. Reclaiming 180 days starts with reclaiming your mornings. The first hour of your day sets the psychological tone. If your first action is reaction, you have already surrendered control. But if your first action is creation, reading, training, planning, you establish dominance over your time. And dominance creates confidence. You don't need extreme measures. You need structured repetition. Because repetition is the mother of skill. You have to remember while you taking input into your mind, while you're listening something for your English improvement, then you have to repeat it. You have to shadow it. Now this technique will help you in ways you can't understand. The machinery works inside of you all the time when you shadow it. Shadowing means while you listen, you have to repeat it in a loud voice. You have to repeat that same thing in loud voice. That means shadowing. You have to shadow. You have to listen and shadow things and shadow their sentences. Shadowing helps you in speaking fluent English. So, thank you for listening, and I will be back with my another video.